How's everybody doing? I'm looking forward to this show. Looking forward to it being a great show and going through some of the topics that I'd like to discuss with y'all this evening. Thank you for joining me. Glad you could be with us. Glad you could join us this evening. Hopefully that we'll be able to cover a few things on the podcast tonight, and looking forward to kickstarting this off. Looking forward to just meeting you where you are throughout the world, and throughout just meeting you where you are and being a part of your life and trying to help and assist in any way that I possibly can. Let me pull this up really quick and we'll get right into the show. Sit back, relax, put your seatbelts on. In relation to marriage, in relation to family, in relation to masculinity, in relation to raising children, in relation to marriage, and how that all tends to work together, and how people can live in and have highly successful lives. And this podcast is going to be geared towards men and masculinity, and how it relates into our society, or rather how society relates to it. We can't change the world, but what we can do is we can change us, and we can focus on us, and we can focus on how we help, how we motivate, how we involve ourselves into each other's lives for the better, and we can move and work and live and play and create society, create neighborhoods, and that on a bigger scale really creates solid societies. And I am all about the family dynamic. I am all about the traditional family. And I have a lot of background beliefs that that are going to come to light, going to come out in this podcast, that these beliefs, these background, that I was raised in a very traditional church, and I have a lot of traditional values, a traditional guideline, a traditional set of rules, of guides that I go by, and I think you should too. I think that we've lost track of marriage and what it means. We've lost track of dads being able to be dads. I think we've lost track of men being able to stand up and be men, and be men to lead and guide their homes, men to lead and guide the church, and to do what they were put here on the earth to do. And that is to have a purpose, to have a mission, and whatever that means in your life, I'm here to help in whatever way that I can. I know that my goal is to help. My goal is to be a friend, a guide, a mentor. I will say that I was fortunate enough to be able to be raised in a home where mom and dad were together, and we were a family unit, a real family unit, a family unit that is not seen very much in the world today, especially in our Western culture and Western society. And I look to help families get back to a systematic place of dads knowing where their manhood lies, moms and wives being moms and wives again, and children knowing their place in amongst in and amongst the family, and know their roles and know their place and know how they should they should operate inside the realm of relationships, and how the family dynamic is how the family dynamic works and operates. It I'm a firm believer that it takes a dad and a mom to come together and have a family, and to have children, and have a system of rules, a system of regulation, a system where dad is allowed to be dad, dad is allowed to be the man of the house, where mom is allowed to be mom, and she knows her place and the role of the mother to mother the children, to mother and guide the home. And it's the man's place to the husband's place to provide and to be the protector and the provider of the home. And the children, it's very important that they know their place in the home. I think a lot of times here in today's society, you find that there's a lot of children running their home. Mom and dads don't have the authority anymore. It's the children. And the dads have given the authority over to the moms and their wives, and to lead and guide, and so the women are stepping up, and they weren't built to do that. And I believe man's mission and purpose on this, God gives every man a mission, he gives every man a purpose, and it's all rooted in masculinity. And so that's why I'm starting this podcast, and I want to start the Fine Masculinity Podcast and introduce it to you, if you will, and try to introduce it into your life, into your families. And may we build strong communities, strong families, strong churches, strong individuals, where we can come together and fight the onslaught of today's culture and today's society. I am a Christian. A lot of my views are going to come from a very Christian background. I was raised very. My childhood was very was very protected, to say the least. And I guess one side is that's good, and the other side, I guess there's two schools of thought on that, of how that can affect the outcome of adulthood and knowing the place. But I was very sheltered. I was very protected, and my dad was actually a pastor, and preached for he preached for many years at this church that I grew up in, and was the pastor, and he did a great job, And if I had any role model in my life that I can look back to and say, yeah, because of him, I'm where I'm at. And I can look back on my, at least the last 15 to 20 years, and say, because of this role model, I am to where I am today. I'm to the place where I'm at. I'm to the, the foundation was laid for me, and I was fortunate to have that in my life, to have that fortunate heritage of godly heritage, a Christian heritage. And I, th- there's some things. He didn't do everything right, my mom and dad, but they, for the most part, I can look to my dad and say, this is why I am where I'm at today. And I'm fortunate that I did miss out on a lot of, and I use miss out very liberally there, but I did miss out on a lot of things that could have potentially wrecked my life, put my life in a wrong direction, and made me a different person than I am today. So I really do want to just right here off the bat, as we get rolling in this podcast, I want to, and this may be the only time I do it. It may come up from time to time and come up here and there in regard to my upbringing and kind of the way that I have some of my beliefs and some of my viewing. It comes from my upbringing, and I am thankful for it. I am thankful that I had that, and so I want to just get right off the bat and say that about my dad. He was a true man. He is a true man. Fortunately he's still with us today, and I am so glad that I had that upbringing, and he was dad. He he is a true man. He is a true gentleman. He is a man's man, and he is smart, and he took the time. Even when I was just a boy, we rode many countless hours together in a truck, and we would have these talks, and it could range from anything regarding life to Christianity to the world to society to school. I did a lot of my schoolwork riding down the road with my dad. And so I can look back on those times, and those discussions that I had with him were very bold. Some of them were very direct. The older I got, the more determined I was to make my point of view known, and he would be very cordial in directing me to the way he viewed things and the way he thought that he should pass along to me the virtues and the core values of what a good name looks like in a family, to maintain a good name, a good testimony. And my upbringing was all about that. I grew up in, like I said, I grew up in that type of household, and I to this day I still use a lot of those values to this day. Am I the man that I should be? I'll be right off the bat to tell you I'm not, and but I am 100% striving to be the best man that I possibly can be, and I just see in this day and age the onslaught of feminism and how it is intruding into the family dynamic, and men are not allowed to portray their true masculinity. They're not able to come out and be the man who God wanted them to be, or be the man that they're supposed to be, because of the onslaught of the onslaught of the family, the attack of the family dynamic, the family structure. And it's going to take, in this, I think it's going to take some real, I'll just be blunt, some real deep down conviction, and some real balls to be able to say, this is the way I think our family should go, and give clear direction to the wife or the mother, and say, I think this is the direction we should go. This is why I think we should go this way. And they ultimately they come together as a family unit, and move forward with a mission, move forward with a purpose, and move forward in a way that dad is allowed to be dad and knows his place. Mom is allowed to be mom and knows her place, and the children are in subjection to mom and dad and know their place in the home. I am married for 17 years, going on 18, and my goodness, we've had our ups and downs, and we've had our problems, we've had our issues, and we're the only couple. Let me say this: that we're the only couple that has only had about one or two problems in our entire marriage. No, I'm just playing with you. We've had more than one or two. And I am looking, out across different marriages, and the worst thing you can do is compare your marriage to someone else's. But you look around and you can't help but notice different marriages, different families, dynamics, and see just the difference in how they operate and how they manage. But I've been married for 17 years, going on 18, and married to a beautiful wife, and I also have 6 children, that 3 boys, 3 girls, that I try to lead and guide, and are raising. I have 3 boys, two older boys, and I have 3 girls in the middle, sandwiched by my smallest son, and I think he's going on 7 years old now. So he's 6, going on 7. So they're, I'll be honest, they have their issues, they have their problems, but for the most part, I'm a blessed man to have the family that I have. For the most part, I try to teach them, and that's what I'm gonna try to portray on this podcast. Uh, how, what are we teaching our kids? As a man, what are you teaching your kids? Are you taking the time out to teach your kids? Are you taking the time out of your busy schedule? And I know we all have busy schedules, but like I said, my dad was right there sitting down talking to me. We rode many miles together in that truck, and the times that the discussions that we had and the times that we shared, I cherish those. I really do. He taught me how to be a man, and also my mom taught me how, what it was to for a mother to be in her place and to serve and to submit herself to the authority of my dad. It was not an abusive relationship by no means, but mom knew her place. She knew she's able to be a true lady. What femininity really stands for. She's the icon of that, and she's able to support my dad, and has been doing that for many years now. And she don't have any sign of stopping in her. But she took the time also to teach me the other side of that, how to be a gentle man, a man that can stand beside his kids, or stand in front of his kids and lead his children, lead his family, lead his wife. That's why I tell my kids that while you're under my roof and I'm raising you, I will lead. I will be in the front, and I will be the provider, and I will be the protector. And when you get to that graduation and you turn 18, to that 18 to 21, those crucial years where your life's changing very rapidly, you're having to make some very critical and crucial decisions in your education, in your careers, deciding what path of life you want to be on. I I'm teaching them that I'm going to lead them. I'm going to be in front of them. I'm going to be their protector and their provider. That's my role. That's my job. That's how I show them that I love them, is to be that protector, to be that provider, to go before them and to lead them. And that's what I plan on doing. And that's what I'm teaching them to do until they're 18. And from that 18 to 21, 25 range, those are some very critical times as well, where they're making some very distinct choices in their life, where they're having to decide different career paths, where they're having to decide different, who to date, who to marry, what career path they want to go down, and what they want to do. And so I told them, during that time, is, I believe, as a man, as their dad, my job is to, at that point, instead of being in front of them the whole time, is kind of step back and be beside them and walk beside them and show them that I'm going to be their supporter. I'm still going to be their protector and provider up to a certain point. But I come back, and instead of walking in front of them and being their shelter and being their guide, now I should have reached a point in my life as a dad where I have related what I know And what I would like to see them do and go and be the man that they are, I should have reached a place where they see in me who they want to be. And they take on that role of leadership. And as they progress and as they push forward, then I step beside them. And now, as their dad, I walk beside them and help them and encourage them, help them to make the wise decisions, encourage them to continue following in these decisions that they're going to make, and hopefully they make the right decisions, and just be their counselor and be their guide, and just walk beside them, just so they know that I'm still there, that dad is still there. And then as they get older and they've chosen their career path, as they've chosen, uh, made several of these big decisions in life, and they're fully they're able to take care of themselves. They're able to, take a more solitary role in their own lives. Then as a dad, my job, I believe, is to move back into the background and let them progress even further, where now they can make the decisions on their own. They should be able to be they should be able, what's the word I'm looking for, they should be able to be solid and grounded in the decisions that they want to make, at least on a very base level of what direction they want to go, what they like, what they don't like, what they believe, what they don't believe, kind of their wishes, and the things that they don't wish would come upon them. And so at that point in time, I to still be in their life, but move back to the behind them where they can take the lead, but then every once in a while look behind them and see that I'm still there and I'm cheering them on and I'm their supporter and I'm there for them, and I want to see them live happy. I want to see them live successful lives. And so I'm raising my boys to be men, and my prayer is, and my goal and mission in life is to teach them and to train them how to be man, and what true fine masculinity looks like in a man's life. Because in this day and age that we live in, fine masculinity has been called anything but fine. Masculinity has been called toxic. Masculinity has been attacked by in the media. Masculinity has been completely discouraged, and I'm finding anyway, that the continual attacks of it is really deterring boys from becoming men, and really being able to become the man who they're supposed to be on the mission that they're supposed to be on, have the purpose that they're supposed to have, and then execute that how they should, without the onslaught of being called toxic. I'm a firm believer that there's nothing toxic about masculinity. Masculinity, there's nothing toxic about it at all. There is abusive relationships, I believe, but as far as masculinity, there's nothing toxic about it at all. If it's true masculinity, it's nothing toxic about it. But my goal is to be the best husband, to my wife that I possibly can be, the father to my children, just an overall good guy. I just want to be an overall good guy to my friends, my relatives, my family, and just want to show them that I care, and and on top of doing that, try to assist different husbands and assist fathers and families through our dialogue or shared experiences, life experiences, and encouragement, just to help and guide in whatever way that I possibly can. I do believe that in a marriage, men lead and women follow. I believe the husband is to be the head of the home, and the wife is to submit to her own husband. And I believe that the children are to submit to and obey their parents. Like I said just a few minutes ago, I believe that too many children are running the home. I think too many husbands, have surrendered their leadership roles to the women in their life. And I believe also that too many churches are being allowed to run, being allowed to be run by the women and by the ladies, and men are failing to take a stand. Men are failing to stand up, have a decision, a conscious decision, and relate that decision and communicate that decision to the whether it's their family, whether it's their churches, whether it's their homes, to communicate that to them. And in short, I think too many men have stopped leading, but I believe that it's coming from a place of trying to get along, trying to make the make everybody happy and their families, make the women happy. And I've come too far with that to make everybody happy is difficult. To make every woman happy is even more difficult. I will say that it does take a true leader to lead, and I think men's roles is to lead, and I do think men should lead and women should follow. I'm not saying that women don't have any value, because they do, and we'll get into that in this podcast. Eventually, we'll get to that. We'll get to how men are valued and how women are valued and how children are valued. And in order to make up communities and societies, you need family, you need moms, you need dads, you need children, but you need them knowing their place too, and you need them knowing that they can lead, that the man can lead, that the woman can follow, and the man's place is to lead, the woman's place is to follow, and the children are to submit themselves to their moms and to their dads. The question that I always have to, or the question that gets begged to be asked here is why? Why have men, why have we stopped leading? Why have we stopped being the front runner, the decision maker of our houses, of our lives? Start with your life in general. Do you do what you do out of the purpose and mission that you were put on this earth to do? Or are you chasing something else because of somebody else's agenda for your life? Are you on your true purpose? Are you on your true mission? Are you on your mission? Are you in purpose? Are you doing what your agenda is, what you've been put on this earth to do? I'll be the first to say, that I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the questions, much less the answers. But I will say that there is something that I'm seeing here that if it continues, and if men don't step up, and if the women in their life continue to step up, then we're gonna, for our sons and for our daughters, it's already a scary time. But just understand that if we don't take our place as men in being men and being the true masculine individual that we're supposed to be, if we don't take those and give that example to our sons that say, this is what a man's supposed to do, this is what a man's supposed to look like, this is, to the girls, this is what a lady is supposed to do, this is what a lady is supposed to look like, this is what a mom's supposed to look like, this is what a wife's supposed to look like, this is what a dad's supposed to look like, this is what a husband's supposed to do, this is the direction that a true husband, a true man, is supposed to go down, and the way he is to handle different situations in his life and in his marriage. It does matter. You say, well, does this even matter? Oh, it matters. It matters a lot. It matters a whole bunch that men know their place and men know their role. And it's okay to understand. And that's one thing, that message that I will get across, try to get this concept across to men that listen to this podcast, is to let you know that you can take the place of leader. You can take the place of leader, but you're going to have to do the work. You're going to have to understand that it takes work to be a leader. It takes work. It takes work to get to that place. It takes work to be a protector. It takes work to be a provider. It takes work to reach out and talk and spend time with your sons, with your daughters, with your wives. It does take time for you to sit down and tell your sons and daughters what direction that a true man should go, or what direction a true lady should go. What men are really looking for in a woman. What real men are looking for in a lady. And ladies, what they're looking for in a true man. Somebody that's going to be the leader and have a purpose and have a mission and have a goal for their own life, and not let things come in the way that will request their attention to go abandon their own mission and goal to accommodate that mission and goal of someone else. I think it does matter to tread the tumultuous waves of constant belittlement of men in the media, shame and irresponsibility of men touted by Hollywood, and naive suggestions by feminists that men are unable, unequipped, and unneeded. That's why this podcast is here. To tread the tumultuous waves of constant belittlement of men in the media, shame, and irresponsibility of men touted by Hollywood, and naive suggestions by feminists that men are unable, unequipped, or unneeded. And we're going to address those things on this podcast. It's about building up men. This podcast, I want it to be the Fine Masculinity Podcast. I do want it to be about fine masculinity. It's about building up men. It's about encouraging men on every level to maintain strong families. To maintain strong families throughout our communities, throughout our societies. It takes a strong man, a strong leader, to create a strong family. When you think about the family dynamic and the way when you think of family, and I know we have blended families and we have a lot of names for families nowadays, but when you take the traditional name of family, you have the husband, you have the wife, and you have the children. Husband, wife, children. And that is a traditional family dynamic. That's the dynamic that God set aside, that God instituted, that God created for true masculinity to take its place in the role of the family. The man married to the woman and have children. Together, they come together to have children. And it's about encouraging men on every level, this podcast, to maintain strong families throughout our community. And, when you think about a family, you think about people. Families are made up of people. Communities are made up of people. Our churches are made up of people. Relationships. They're people. I really want to go through really quick why I decided to call this the Fine Masculinity Podcast. And it really originated from masculinity and, this idea that masculinity is toxic. And I've heard it, if I've heard it once, I've heard it 100 times, that masculinity is toxic. Toxic masculinity. Oh, this is so toxic masculinity. He's so toxic. Because he's doing what? Because he's taking his place as a leader? Because he's not accommodating your mission and your goals? Why is he so toxic? Why is a man so toxic in this society, in generation that we live in? Why are we throwing that toxic masculinity around? Like I said, I believe there's abusive relationships. There's abusive men out there. There's abusive women just the same. Yeah, it's actually kind of debatable whether or not women are more abusive than men at times. So you can the argument can be made that there's abusive relationships, but abusive or toxic masculinity. No, I don't think that at all. Especially when you define it like we define it. I've got it pulled up here. Fine masculinity and fine 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 masculinity. Fine means very handsome with dignity. Very handsome with of course we know beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and I will. I'm not gonna rate any gentlemen out there. I'm not gonna sit here and rate you or anything like that. But I will say that it is something to be fine. And as long as your wife sees you as the very finest that she can have, then you've got something going. If she ever stops finding you the most finest that she can possibly have, then you've got issues and problems. And so it's time to step up your game. It's time to step up on your purpose and your mission. And that's what this podcast is going to be about, is defining what fine looks like inside of a marriage, or inside of inside of masculinity, really, what fine means. And so that's why I wanted to start kind of from this fine masculinity podcast, that meaning coming from that word fine, where it says very handsome with dignity. You know, a real man's going to have dignity. He's going to have dignity. He's going to be accomplished. He's going to be elegant, dignified. He's going to be very elegant, be accomplished, accomplished in learning, excellent as a fine scholar. So we have the word fine, and the meaning is accomplished, excellent, superior, brilliant, acute as a man, And then another definition for fine is amiable, which basically means lovable or worthy of love. Amiable, agreeable, it means agreeable, noble, ingenuous, or excellent. Amiable. And so we have fine in our title of this podcast because I think men should be fine. They should be handsome. They should be dignified. They should be accomplished. Men should be, masculinity in men, as it's defined, should be excellent, accomplished, elegant in manners, excellent, superior, brilliant, acute, amiable. And then we move to the word masculinity, fine masculinity. Masculinity, have the qualities of a man. Having the qualities of a man. Strong, robust, as a masculine body. Manly, coarse, opposed to delicate or soft. Masculine features. Bold, brave, as a masculine spirit or courage. So when you put that together, fine masculinity, I say that fine masculinity would be an accomplished, excellent, amiable man that perseveres in maintaining strength, purpose, and place in society. Again, fine masculinity. The Fine Masculinity Podcast is going to be rooted and grounded in this definition. An accomplished, excellent, amiable man that perseveres in maintaining strength, purpose, and place in society. Amiable, we just looked at. It basically means lovable, worthy of love. Amiable is one of those words that to be a true man and have true masculinity means that when we take on the role as leader, when we take on the role as being the protector, being the provider and provisioner, and taking that role in the leader as leader, there's a sense of amiability that is among true masculinity. Able to be loved, able to love, worthy of the love. As men, there are things that we should do by staying on our purpose, by staying on our mission, that has a degree of amiableness inside it, where it is able to be followed. It is able to be submitted to. If it's not amiable, it's not worth leading in. If you can't get people on board, if you can't sell your vision, your mission, your goal, if there's not a amiableness about it, where it's able to be followed. If it's not able to be followed, then it's not able to be loved. It's not able to be. It's not worthy of the love. It's not noble. And so, whatever we do as men, whatever you do needs to be worthy of love. It needs to have that degree of worthiness to it, where it is excellent, where it is superior, where it is brilliant, accomplished, elegant, dignified. And so because of those two words, when we put them together, we have that men taking their place, taking their role in the home, in their families, in their personal lives. We can come up with an idea of a man that is an accomplished, excellent, amiable man that perseveres in maintaining strength, purpose, and place in society. And that's what I want to hinge this whole Fine Masculinity podcast around, is a man who is accomplished, a man who is excellent. He chases excellence. He goes for the goal. He goes for the prize. He has a purpose. And he wants excellence in each part of his life, in each ministry of his life, in each endeavor of his life. He wants accomplishment. He wants excellence. And he wants an attitude of amiableness inside of his purpose and inside of his mission. This man perseveres. He perseveres in maintaining his strength, physical strength, emotional strength, spiritual strength, whatever strength you want to put a tag on it. But whatever he endeavors to do, he does it with his might. He does it with all of his might. He does it until it's completed, till it's accomplished, till it's fulfilled. He doesn't quit halfway. Real men are not quitters. Fine masculinity, there's no quitters in that. Masculinity is somebody that sets out for a purpose, sets out for a goal, and does his dead level best to accomplish that goal and be excellent in executing that goal. Excellent in maintaining that goal and keeping that purpose and that mission of what he was put on this earth to do at the very forefront, at the very front of each day of his life, to be able to wake up and say, that's why you talk about a man that gets depressed. A man that gets depressed is a man that does not have a mission, does not have a purpose. He wakes up and has a blank sheet of paper and nothing to do on it. That individual, 9 times out of 10, is a depressed man. He's got to have a mission. He's got to have purpose. He's got to have direction. And so, I wanted to just go over that definition of why I think we need fine men. We need masculinity, and we need that masculinity to be as fine as we possibly can have it. To be bold, to be brave, to have the spirit of courage, to have the spirit of commitment. These are characteristics that seem to be void among a lot of our families and a lot of across our societies. To stand up, it's frowned upon by the media for a man to stand up and be bold about his masculinity, to be bold about his direction in life, to say, this is the direction I think that I'm going to go in. And come hell or high water, I'm going to go do it. And I'm going to complete it. And I'm going to be excellent in doing it. And I'm going to be amiable in doing it. And I'm going to be bold in doing it. And I'm going to have courage in completing that. I'm going to be strong. And so that's the reason I wanted to get this going. Before I continue, I just want to say this, that I remember I was facing a decision in my life, and I was young, and like I said earlier, I rode with my dad many miles in a truck, and we'd go back and forth. And I remember one day I was trying to make the decision was who to marry and when to marry. And I was telling him, I was having a discussion with him, talking with him about dating, and about marriage, and about family, and about different things in regard to family and manhood. And when I told him that there was this girl that I liked, that I wanted to date, my wife now, that I wanted to date, that I liked, he said, "No, sir." He said, "Don't play games." And he said these 6 words. He said these 6 words. And I've lived by these words. He may not know this but I've lived by these words ever since. And he said, "Don't play games." And then he said these 6 words right here. He said, "Poop or get off the pot." Poop or get off the pot. He said, don't play games. If you know you're going to do something, then do it. Figure out the way to do it. Don't play games. Don't mess around. Get your mission. Get your purpose. Set out to accomplish that, and then go do it. Don't procrastinate. We're going to do a show on that here very soon. But don't procrastinate for whatever reason. He said, dive in and get it done. Go for it. Don't play around. Don't play games. You see, that's what I'm trying to say. As dads, yeah, that's kind of bold. That came across pretty strong, but I remember that conversation even to this day. And many decisions that I've made over the course of my life, I've made because of that one statement. Not to procrastinate, not to think about too long. Yes, to get kind of an order, to kind of get a guide, to get an order and guide, and what the trail is going to look like, what the path to success is going to look like, but not hesitate to such a point where now it turns into procrastination. And procrastination is to a place where now you look 2 years back, 3, 4, 5, 10 years back, and you're still in the same place and haven't moved forward because of fear, and we'll get into that in the next, in another show. But I remember that statement. And I remember him telling me, I remember my dad sitting down and telling me these 5 things. And he said them in a different way, but these 5 things I've lived by for my, at least 17 years that I've been married into my adulthood. And have I been the perfect man? No, I haven't. I'll be the first to admit that I have not, but I've tried to be. And my heart's desire is to be the very best that I possibly can be. But he taught me these 5 things. And he didn't beat around the bush when he was instructing me on these things. He did not try to sugarcoat it. It was very direct, and I appreciate him for that. I appreciate him for being very direct with me, and very forward at times with me. Like I said, he's very epitome of what masculinity looks like and what a man is supposed to look like. But these 5 things, he said, I'll, and of course, he didn't put it specifically this way, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, but he said, number one, you must know that you are different than women. You must know that you're different than women. There is a distinct difference, between a man and a woman. There is a distinct difference. There's a distinct difference physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. There is a difference between a man and a woman. And the more you know about the differences of these things, the difference of strength, the more you know about these differences between a man and a woman, and the innate nature of man and the innate nature of woman, and how they impact each other and how they impact society, the more you know about it, the more that you will be able to navigate through navigate life to successful life, to be the successful husband that you need to be the successful father that you need to be. The second thing he said, you must know you're different than women. The second thing he said is, you must know your purpose. Know what your purpose is. Know what direction you're going. Know your purpose. What purpose have you been put on this world to accomplish? Because God gave us each purpose. You have a purpose. I have a purpose. Each individual man has a purpose why he's here. You have a purpose. You have a purpose that if you're a Christian and you're a believer, that God has given you to accomplish and to perform in excellence, to perform in courage, to be bold about it, and to have a purpose. The third thing he taught me is, you must know your plan. There was a speaker that one day I was listening to him speak, and he was giving a speech, but he said these words, and I'll never forget them. He said, plan your work your plan. Plan your work your plan. And so the third thing that my dad taught me is, you must know your plan. You must know your plan. You know your purpose, know your plan. Plan your work your plan. The closest distance between where you're at now and a successful, getting to 75, 80, 90 years old and looking back on your life and saying, you know what? I accomplished my purpose. I accomplished my mission. I accomplished my goal because I knew my plan, because I had a plan. See, that's what's happening with a lot of men nowadays that we need to get back to. And I'd like to be the first one to encourage you to get back to there, is to get a plan for your life. Get a plan for your family. Get a plan. What is your plan? What's your spiritual plan? What's your physical plan? What's your financial plans? What's your plan? What is your plan? Where are you going, and how are you going to get there? Where are you going to be in 5 years from now? In 10 years from now? Where is your family going to be in 5, 10, 15 years from now? What's your plan to get to that place? What's your plan to get to that place of success? We need a plan. Men, let me encourage you to get a plan. Get you a plan of action. Where are you going? How are you going to get there? And then the fourth thing is you must know your position. You must know your position in society. What is your position? You must know your position. Do you have a position? You need to know your purpose. You need to know your plan. You need to know your position. Where are you? There are men that I look up to today. And I use them as mentors. And I use them as individuals for advice, that I can seek advice, that I can go to and get help. I can question them. I can get counsel. I can get encouragement. I can get leadership from them because they've been down this road just a little bit further than I have. I'm to a place now where I have boys underneath me, men that are married, that are underneath me, that are looking at me and looking at my life. Men, I'm 37 years old. There's men out there that you're the same age as I am. And you've got men and you've got boys in your life that are looking at you. And they're looking at you to see how you're going to handle things. Because when they get to that place, they want to be able to say, you know what? I saw this before. I saw what happened to him. I saw what direction he went. I saw what choice he made. And so hopefully it's a positive choice, and they'll be able to say, you know what? I'm going to follow after that. I'm going to go his direction because it worked out for him. And if it'll work out for him, it'll work out for me. But my position right now is I'm kind of sandwiched in the middle of this thing. I've got older gentlemen, older men that I can look to for help and support. I've got younger men that are looking at me, looking at my life and watching me. And let me tell you this, men, all you guys out there, somebody is watching you. Somebody is going to see your life and try to emulate the choices and the decisions that you've made, or not emulate them, not choose to do those because they didn't work out so well. So just understand that you are being watched. You are serving as a mentor. You are serving as an encourager. You are serving as as a leader, as somebody that is treading the path, that is making a path for the generation behind us. And understand that whatever path you choose, whatever path we go down, hopefully we can learn from those that have been ahead of us. And we can look ahead of us and say, well, they made that decision. So because of that, I'm going to grow from that. I'm going to grow from that decision. Even if it turned out okay, it could have turned out better. So we're going to look ahead and we're going to make a better decision than maybe even the front runners of our lives were. And so the next generation coming on can be that much better and grow that much more. And I will say this, that like I said, I was fortunate to have a good family structure, growing up in a good family structure. And one thing I'll say is that we had a path, we had a goal, we had a direction, we had a position, we knew our position, and in our family. So anyway, I forgot where I was actually going with that, but it happens, right? So, but you must know your position. What position? Where are you at in life? Where are you at? Are you looking ahead to make better decisions? Oh, that's what I was going to say about my dad. Is he always told us, he said, I made these decisions. He said, I may have taken these roads. I may have made these decisions. I may have made these impacts in my life. He said, but I wish that sometimes I could take the knowledge out of my head and implant it into your brain and put it into your head where you already know this stuff without having to learn it. He said, because maybe I'm not going to be able to give you all that I have up here in my head. And he said, I'd like to just download it into your brain and into your head. And I kind of feel the same way with my boys and my children, that I'd like to just take what's in my head and say, if you just do this or don't do this, then you'll make it. But we all know we can't do that. And so what we have to do is we have to look ahead, and we have to make a decision for ourselves and learn from the people that are ahead of us, that have been down this road, that have been down this path before. And one thing I was going to say about my dad is, he said he'd like to take that information, that knowledge, and somehow put it into our heads and into our brains, so that when we get to the place that he is at, whether it's intellectually, academically, we can take that knowledge now as just a foundation. And as he made it here, we as men can now make it here. And the next generation can even move here and here. And next thing you know, as you take that standard, he said, I want you to go ahead of me. I want you to be better than me. I want you to be better men than I was. And he was always encouraging us, always pushing us to be better than him. And I like I said, to have that foundation as a young man, and then grow into an older man, not old, but I don't know. I guess that's debatable, right? An older man. I'm not a teenager anymore, and I'm definitely not in my 20s or late 30s, I guess. So, but I don't know. I guess I'm middle-aged, right? Is that what you call it, middle-aged? But anyway, I am to a place where I'm at now because of the dad that I had and the foundations that I had. And I wish that I wish all men could step up and be the leaders of their homes, be those examples that when we look ahead and see men that have come before us, and we can learn from them, the good and the bad. We need to know our place. We need to know our position, and know that there are those young bucks that are coming up behind us that are watching our lives, and they're watching our decisions that we're going to make. And we need to have our purpose. We need to have our plan. Men need to know their position. And then fifth, men must know their power. You should know your power. Know where you are with your power. There's different types of power. We'll get into that in another podcast. But the overall, it's very base, at its very core. Men, I want to encourage you and let you know, if you don't know it already, that you are very powerful. You have a very powerful innate nature inside of you that has been built inside of you. That power is to be able to accomplish the purpose that you have, the mission that you have in life. You have a very strong man inside you. You have a very able man inside you that is wanting to come to the forefront and be a leader and be the man that you know you ought to be, and be the men that you're supposed to be. Know your power. Know the power that you have. Your physical strength, yes. Know your physical strength, especially when it comes to things like discipline. But know your physical strength. Know your mental power, your mental strength, the power to be able to control situations, the power to be able to serve. If you're a Christian, to be able to serve God, the power to be able to speak life and speak encouragement into other men, into other people. What a powerful thing that is, to speak words of life and conviction and encouragement into your wife, into your spouse, into your children, into yourself, to know that you have the power to be able to take on whatever this crazy world decides to offer you, and to come in and to come at you at. You have the power to overtake it. You have the courage. You have the boldness. You have the masculinity inside you to be able to handle those things that may come in the way. That the hurdles that you have to jump, the hoops that you have to go through. You have the power to be able to do that. You have the power to be able to juggle time with your time, the time you need to build yourself up, to encourage yourself, to learn, to educate. The power to balance time between your spouse, your children, the time it takes to be the man that you're supposed to be, your purpose, your mission. You have the power to balance all those things. You can do it. As a man, God has put inside you a power that is unlike any other to be able to juggle these things, time, attention. And so when he told me this, he said, you must know your power. And I took those 5 things, and I've tried my very best. Have I failed? Yes, I have. Am I going to fail again? More than likely I will. But here's the thing. Without any failure, you can't have any success. Yes, you can learn from those before you, but real success comes from failure. And so don't be scared to step out. Don't be scared to move into a to make a decision. Don't be afraid. Don't have fear. But definitely with these 5 things, to know that you're different. You're different than women. Men are different than women. Biologically, they're different. Emotionally, they're different. Physically, mentally, spiritually, all those things, we're different. You must know your purpose. You must know your plan. You must know your position, and you must know your power. When it comes to girlfriends and marriage, and that's kind of what I'm teaching my kids at this point, is don't play games. Know your decision, know what direction you are going forward, and know what direction you want to go, and then move in that direction. A lot of times I think we as men, this is a kind of to sum up this podcast, the Fine Masculinity Podcast is and I think I'll do this. I'll do this on another show, but procrastination is a huge, huge problem. Procrastination, sitting there and wondering if you should do it or not. I was reading an article today of about Steve Jobs, and Steve Jobs said that there's one thing that is the difference between the dreamers and the doers. And he said that one thing is really taking that first step toward what you have dreamed of doing and accomplishing. That first step seems to always be the hardest to move forward. But we get trapped in this idea that if I just stay in one place out of fear, if I just stay in one place and don't make a decision, like that's not making a decision already, then I'm going to be okay. That I'm going to be all right, and that nothing's going to change. But the truth of the matter is that if we make the decision to not move forward and we procrastinate not to move forward with our purpose, with our mission, then just in the very aspect of not making the decision to move forward, we've failed it already. So if we're doing it if we're procrastinating out of fear, or procrastinating to accomplish our mission out of fear, or our purpose out of fear, then, and we procrastinate, we don't make the decision to move forward, you can see that you failed already. You even from the very get-go, we've already failed. So if you're doing it out of fear of failure, I think I'll just sit right here and not do anything because I might fail. I may look bad. I may, not live up to the standard, or not live up to what I think that I would like to portray myself to be to people. And because of that procrastination, now we hold back out of fear, But that decision not to move forward, that decision not to attack that mission and purpose with boldness, with courage, and with strength, in a sense, is already a failure, is already failing because we're not taking that step. We're not moving forward. So as men, I'd like to encourage you to take that step, whatever it may be. If you have made something your purpose, if you've made something your mission, set out to accomplish that. Don't let fear get in the way. Don't let any attack on masculinity, on your masculinity, get in the way of you performing that. Because if you say, no, I'm not going to take another step forward because I'm afraid that I might fail, well, you can see that you're already failing before you just take the next step. I encourage you to take the next step. Move forward in your life. Move forward in your purpose. Move forward in your mission. And understand that part of success is actually finding out what works and what doesn't work. And there's going to be some things in your life that works, and there's going to be some things in your life that does not work. And finding out the balance of what that is in this podcast, I'm going to find out what works and what doesn't work. And I'm going to have to accommodate and adjust to try to reach that. I'm going to fail at times at different aspects, at different topics, at different things but I'm also going to I'm going to try to have some very solid viewpoints that have concrete reasoning behind them to say why I'm saying what I'm saying. And so procrastination is basically just putting off to a future time or delay, to put off what you could be doing today, what you could be taking on today. Procrastination is delaying that another day, delaying that another week, delaying that another year, delaying that whatever it may be. And you say, why, if we know that, if we've substantiated now that even not making the decision to move forward is failing in the first place, why don't we take that step? Why don't we take that step of faith? Why don't we take that step with courage, with boldness, knowing that that's our purpose, knowing that that's our plan, knowing that that's the position that we need to take in our life, that our family needs to take in our family's life, that the children need to take? Why? Why do we procrastinate? Why procrastinate in the first place? Well, a couple of things I think that are the root reason why we procrastinate, and maybe this will help us get over it. Not over it, but just understand what it is and how to combat it and how to move forward. Again, a lot of it's rooted in fear of false, and really it's the perception. It's the perception. You've heard the saying, perception is reality. Really, what your perception is, becomes of a situation, of an occurrence, of a goal, of a plan. What is that perception is reality. And so if your perception is that you can't do it, you're not strong enough to do it, you're not smart enough to do it, then those ideas and thoughts are what you're going to have to battle. And a lot of it is rooted in a false sense of safety. A false sense of safety. Freedom, that's basically safety is freedom from danger or hazard, exemption from hurt, injury, or loss. You have your perception of safety is misguided. And so a lot of times we say, well, if I move outside of my safe zone, out of my safe place, then if I move outside of that, then I'm not going to be safe anymore. But what we have to understand is procrastination towards our mission and purpose and goal is going to make the place that we're in right now unsafe. We're going to be unsafe in that place because now, instead of following our mission, following and boldness with boldness and courage, moving taking the step to accomplish that purpose and that goal, now we're instead of staying when we should be moving, we're creating all kinds of problems. We're creating emotional problems within ourselves. We're creating physical problems, mental problems. I mean, when you know you have a purpose and a mission, and as a man should be following that mission and following that purpose, and you choose not to because of a false sense of safety, there's all kinds of things that are going to be that's going to open up to in your life, negative things, and so we need to make sure that, or we need to, if we have a goal, you have a mission or a purpose, I encourage you to follow that and with courage and with boldness, and understand that this false sense of safety, this safety that you think you're in, this bubble of safety, is not safe at all when you should be following after something else, after your purpose and after your mission, especially if you don't have a mission and purpose at all. If you haven't established that in your life and you're just facing every day blinded, and not facing it with your eyes wide open, with a plan, with a purpose, then I mean, like I said earlier, depression is, I mean, among men without a purpose, without a mission, without something to accomplish, men, we get depressed. There's something inside us that says, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing what I should be doing. I need to take that step. So don't procrastinate. Let's not procrastinate. Our false sense of safety, you know, just because we think there's an exemption of hurt or loss if we make those steps. Look, none of us are exempt from hurt or loss, regardless of if we make that step or not, regardless if we move forward or not in our life. What kind of forward progress do you have in your life? Because even if you stay right where you are, even if you stay in the place that you're at, you're still not exempt from having hurts, having injuries, suffering loss. If you stay there, more than likely, if you stay right where you are, when you know your purpose and mission is that way, and you stay right where you are, the bigger burden of loss, the bigger burden of hurt, and the bigger burden of injury is going to be in that place that you're in, instead of moving forward, instead of having forward progress in your life. Forward progress is very important as men, to continually be moving up, to continually be being better, attempting to accommodate or achieving a better, excellent way in our life, to be better, to do better, to achieve more. Another reason I think that men procrastinate is out of false sense of security, protection. Well, if I stay right here, I'll be protected. I'm protected right here. Are you? Are you protected where you are? Would you not also be protected on your mission and on your purpose? Would you not be protected doing what you know you've been put on this earth to do? To have courage, to have boldness, to accommodate those things, to pursue excellence, to pursue superiority, to pursue accomplishment. Procrastination, false sense of security, protection, because you feel I'm protected in this place where I'm at. I'm protected. Think about that. Protected from what? That you wouldn't be protected also from moving in your purpose, moving your mission. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that your mission and purpose should be, or you should follow a mission or purpose if it is contrary to the safety, contrary to the security of people, of their lives and livelihoods. I'm not saying that. You get in trouble. You go to jail for that stuff. I'm talking about the mission and purpose that you were put on this earth to do, to accomplish. But because of a false sense of security, a lot of times men procrastinate. We need to not procrastinate. If you're not on your mission, if you're not on your purpose, if you've lost your frame of life, get back to that. Find it again. I encourage you to do that, especially if you're facing each day blinded. Another reason I think men procrastinate is a false sense of self. If we're not careful, a false sense of who we are. The perception of who we are. If there's one person, if there's one individual that you're going to have to battle the most, that's yourself. Men, you have to battle yourself before you can battle anybody else. It's very important that you win and you have victory over yourself before you go out here and face your mission and your purpose. But the first thing that a lot of times can come to mind is that you're not able, you're not smart enough, you're not rich enough, you're not spiritual enough, you're not equipped enough, whatever the reason might be. The false sense of who you are and who your brain is telling you are is not the same thing that you are. You have the ability to do what your purpose is, what your mission is. You have the ability to do that. You are 100%, you have a 100% God-given ability to perform and perform it in a very excellent way, to perform it in a very satisfactory way, to perform it in a very excellent and superior way. You have the ability to do this, to lead your home, lead your family, lead your children, to lead yourself, to have that sense of ability, to have those positive mindsets that says, you know what, I can do it. It's like that story when we were little. We had that story of the train trying to climb the hill, and he gets about halfway up and he just about gives out. But what does he say? He says, I can do it. I can do it. I got it. I got it. And before you know it, he makes that hill. See, some of you men are trying to still climb that hill, still trying to climb that hill. In parts of my life, I'm there. I'm also there, trying to climb that hill. But once you climb that hill, and once we get across the other side of that hill, and we start going down, we've got it figured out. We've got it figured out. It's a home stretch. It's you go up and then back down. You're more able than you realize. You're more able than you allow yourself to think or believe that you are. You're more able. You have the ability. You have the strength. You have the mental capacity. You have the spiritual capacity. You have the know-how. If you don't, you have the ability to go get the know-how, to go get the strength, to go get it, to be able to perform and be able to acquire a plan, a purpose, a goal, a mission, and go get it and go do it. A false sense of self. Be careful of that. Don't let that take control in your life. Men, don't let that control your life. Have control over your thoughts. Have control over your life. Don't let them control you. Have control over your life. Forward movement requires willingness to face fear. A willingness to say, I'm going to face this. Yeah, I can see some real things that could bring danger. I can see some real hurdles that I have to get across, that I have to move past. But forward movement in our life, men, it requires the willingness to face fear, to move forward and face that fear, to see the fear in the eyeballs and face it and still move forward, to face a willingness to face fear. What is fear? Fear is a painful emotion or passion excited by an expectation of evil. Now, this expectation of evil is something that we look forward. We say, well, there's an expectation that it may come. It may not either. It may come, but it may not either. But we see it because we say that we're going to prevent our forward movement in our life, our growth in our life, because we're not willing to face fear. Men, life is a entourage of choices that we have to make each and every day, choices that we have to make in order to move backwards, stay where we are, move forward. You've heard the saying before, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. You can't stay in the same place. You're either going back or you're going forward. And if you're not willing to face fear, then the only alternative is to go backwards. And we want to have, as men, you got to have forward movement in your life. You got to have some growth. Regardless of the painful, emotion or the passion that may present itself because of this expectation that something bad may happen, some evil may be out there. Not only does it take a willingness to face fear, but forward movement in our life takes a willingness to risk. A willingness to risk. Everything in life is a risk. When you think about it, everything in life is a risk. It's a negotiation, Everything in life is a risk that you take. You have to weigh your pros and your cons. You have to decide, is this best for me or is this not so healthy for me? But forward movement requires a willingness to risk, and to lack the willingness to risk it, to have that risk in your life, means that you don't have forward movement. Risk what? Risk what? What are you risking? Figure out what you're risking, the pros, the cons of what you're risking to have forward movement in your life, to have growth, to have a mission, to have a purpose, to have a plan. Forward movement also requires a willingness to try. Just a willingness to try. Just try. See what happens. See where it lands. Just try. Just move forward in an attempt. Make an attempt towards your goal, towards your purpose, towards your mission. Make an attempt. Figure out what it is you need to be doing, and then make an attempt to accomplish that, to move forward. Make an attempt. You won't have any forward progress. Men, listen, you won't have any forward progress in your life without the willingness to try, the willingness to attempt something bigger than what you've previously attempted, something greater, something better than what you've previously attempted. It's called growth. It's called moving forward in your life, becoming better today than you were yesterday. If there's one thing I can encourage every man to do, is to try, to attempt, to make the basic attempt. Make the attempt to talk to your sons. Make the attempt to talk to your daughters, to train them and raise them. Raise the boys to be men. Raise the girls to be ladies, to be wives, to be mothers, to be dads, and to be fathers, and to be husbands. To raise them to be those things. It takes determination. It takes practicality. It takes intentionalness, to be intentional about talking to them about different subjects that they need on their level, where they're at. Understanding where the children are, where they are in their life. But it takes trying, it takes attempting, it takes that first step toward being the man that God wants you to be. Being the person. If you're not a Christian, if you don't have religion in your life, being the person and having the purpose that you need to have in your life, and setting your eye on that thing, setting your focus and your vision on accomplishing that with boldness, with courage, with commitment. Willingness to try. Forward movement also is a willingness to fail. Willingness to fail. I think about different people that have been very successful, whether it's a sports icon, whether it's billionaires, people that have, been successful in their life. Whether it was Albert Einstein, different people that have made a dent in their world and in the place that they're at. And you look at them, and I remember Michael Jordan has a video on an interview that he had said that he numerous times over he had failed, but because of the failures, out of the failures came success. And because of that success, the reason he had success is because, and the reason a lot of these guys and ladies out there that have true success is because they were not afraid to face fear. They were not afraid to risk everything. They were not afraid to try, and they were not afraid to fail. My parents just went to Pennsylvania, and they visited the Hershey's factory, and they came back, and this was about a week ago. They came back and they told me the story about Mr. Hershey and how that he had several attempts at different types of candy to sell this candy and to be profitable. And he failed. Several times over, he failed. But one day he had the idea, after all these failures, that he was going to incorporate milk into the chocolate. And he made a Hershey's milk chocolate candy bar. And that's probably the number one candy bar across this country. Probably. I don't know. But I know that it's a very popular candy bar next to Reese's, I think. I like Reese's. I like Reese's a lot. Probably better than Hershey's. I like Reese's a lot. But, I mean, Reese's and Hershey's are pretty close together as far as if you look at the corporation and how that the person who came up with Hershey's actually used to work with, or Reese's used to work with Hershey's, and then they split. But you can read all about that. But anyway, they came up, Hershey, after all that failure, he came up with the Hershey's candy bar because he, introduced the milk chocolate. But he had a success. So out of failure comes success. And you see that over and over for anybody that has had success in their life. Anybody that's had success, it's came out of failure. It's came out of trying. It's came out of risk. It's came out of those things. And it's came out of a willingness to say, you know what? I'm at least going to try. I'm at least going to risk it. And if I fail, you know what? I gave it my best shot. I gave it my all. I gave it whatever I had that was in me, I gave it. And because I gave it and attempted it and I risked it and I tried it and I failed, I learned from that failure. And the fifth thing that I'd like to say is forward movement, willingness because of that failure, willingness to accept failure and get back up. Willingness to accept that we're all human. We all make mistakes. We're all inept at times and we're not 100% successful all the time. And we all need to understand that and move forward with that. But the times that we do fail, the times that we do fall down, you know what? Get back up. My encouragement to men in this Fine Masculinity podcast is to get back up. Be the man that you're supposed to be, regardless if you've risked it all and lost it all. Regardless if you're sitting in a position right now, where you say, yeah, I've tried that. I've risked it. I actually lost a lot. I've lost this or I've lost that. If you're in a place right now that you've lost, there's men that have lost their testimony. They've lost their family. They've lost their wife. They've lost their jobs. They've lost their means to provide. They've lost their means to be able to be the provider of their family. Get back up. Understand that you are capable as a man. You are capable of getting back up, moving forward in your life. Accept the failure, learn from it, but then move on. Move on. Get back up. Don't stay down. Don't stay down. Get back up. You have the ability to get back up and to move forward. You have the ability to do that. So men, I encourage you to have forward movement in your life, to have that sense of freedom. You're free, right? You are free, regardless of what the media says, regardless of what movies or Hollywood may try to promote or produce. You're free. You're a free man. You are a free individual to make free choices and to decide that you're going to get a purpose if you don't have one. If you do have a purpose, then you're going to, and you may not be on it, then get on it. You're going to get a plan. You're going to know your position. You're going to know your power, and you're going to execute these things that you ought to be doing. Let's get to work. Let's get going. Let's be the men. Be the man that you're supposed to be. Take the leadership role. Be the leader. Have a plan. Plan your work. Work your plan. And so I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to be the man that you're supposed to be. And I hope that I can help encourage you. I hope that through the series of the shows of this podcast, that we will be able to dive into some of these issues on masculinity and what it entails in our families, in our societies, in our neighborhoods, and be the men and be the individuals that we're supposed to be. And I hope that you can, if you need anything, don't hesitate to email me. I can be reached at finemasculinity@gmail.com. Finemasculinity@gmail.com. And send me a email. Let me know how you're doing. I look forward to the next podcast on the Fine Masculinity Podcast. Have a good evening. Good night.